Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K video, another Facebook Live video. So I'm out here just double checking that hopefully I'm live in the right place. While I'm getting that set up, if anybody's out here watching and you want to say hello, feel free to pop in and say hi. Today I'm going to show you a card that I made with the Heartfelt Blooms stamp set, and that I did a little coloring on with this new Stampin' blends. So, yep, looks like the video is up and rolling, so hopefully I'll have a few people hopping in. Like I said, if you hop in, just say hello, and I'd be happy to see you guys here. So, let's get started. First things first, this is the card that I made. I'm going to do a slightly different version of it today. I'm going to use Smoky Slate instead of the Pear Pizzazz that I used on here, just to change it up a little bit, try something different. So this is the card that we're going to be making. And then this is the Heartfelt Blooms. Hey Karen, how are you? Oh, hi Robbie. Woohoo! Got a couple people jumping on today. So this is the Heartfelt Blooms stamp set. This is one of the Celebration exclusive items that you can get with an order of $50 or greater during Celebration, which runs through March 31st. So if you don't have the stamp set, make sure you get it. It's really, really, really pretty. And it's also a new type of stamp that Stampin' Up! Is offering called distinctive stamps. And you'll see in a second when I flip it over that it looks a little different than our regular rubber stamps do. The other stamp set that we're going to be using today is the Lovely Wishes stamp set, and that's just for the sentiment and the little flowers on the card that I made. So this one's a photopolymer stamp set that's available in the Occasions catalog. And, oh good, Karen, I'm glad that it looks like Fridays work for you, so hopefully Fridays will continue to work for me too. So my plan is to try to do these about once a week, but sometimes life gets in the way. So anyway, so back to Stampin'. Lovely Wishes is available in the Occasions catalog, and this is another pretty stamp set. It's a two-set, designed for a two-step stamping, but you can also just use the images as they are, and I like the sentiments in this one too. Okay, so before I get going, I did some sort of playing around and testing, and I don't know how well you can see this on here. When I initially started doing this coloring, I was planning to use the old olive marker on the leaves, and I tried the light marker, and it colored it completely in so you couldn't see the image at all, which I didn't necessarily like. So then I got the great idea, oh well, I'll just take the color lifter and color over it, and that'll remove the color. And it kind of did, but it really kind of didn't. So that's why why it is that I went with the green on here, and just because it's green as it is, and why I'm not going to be coloring in the old olive inks. I just wanted to let you know that when I did this, so that you weren't wondering why I hadn't colored the leaves in. So that's all. All right, so we are going to get started with doing some stamping. And by the way, I'm in a different location today. Hey Margaret, how are you? So I'm glad that you like the stamp set too. So I am in a different location. I moved out to my kitchen, so I am sure that either the phone is going to ring or the dog's going to start barking at any moment. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but nobody ever calls here when I'm doing videos normally, but today will be the day. So, all right, we're starting with a little Smoky Slate, just Whisper White cardstock, a little scrap that I have. This is the distinctive stamp. When you look at it in person, I don't know how well it shows up on here, it looks like it's almost flat and like there's no raised area on it, but there is. Trust me, when you start inking it, you'll see it as soon as it comes through. So when I inked this image, to make sure that I had a really good solid inking on it, I actually did it image up and then flipped it over and patted the ink pad over it, because it was easier for me to see and make sure that I had everything covered, because obviously when the ink is wet, it's going to be shiny, and with areas that you're missing the ink, it won't be shiny. So that's pretty well inked up, which hopefully you can see that on here, that it's sort of, like I said, shiny in the areas where the ink is wet. And then stamped it down just on plain old Whisper White cardstock. And that's the image that comes out of it. So I feel like that's an incredibly pretty image. So when you are using the regular ink pads, even the Memento ink pads that are designed to work with the Stampin' Blends markers, I like to make sure that, especially with the classic ink pads, that the ink is very dry before I start coloring, just because I want to make sure that I'm not getting any of that wet ink mixed up and mixed in with my stamp set, or with my stamped image. So I'm going to set that aside for just a minute and start working on the banner underneath instead. So for the banner, I have just pink pirouette cardstock is what it is. It's cut to 2 inches by 5 3/4, and then I punched both the ends with a banner triple punch. I'm using a little pink pirouette ink, and I'm just going to stamp these little flowers sort of randomly over the banner. No special way to do it, just here and there, flipped, doing, you know, some of the bigger ones, some of the smaller ones. Try not to stamp them all upside down like I'm doing. And I know that my larger image is going to go here, my die cut circle, so I'm not worrying about stamping in that area at this point because it'll be covered anyway. And I'm sure you probably can't see that very well. Hopefully you can see it a little bit better when I hold it up closer. So, oh, I'm missing some comments here. So Karen says that you didn't know you could use the regular ink pads. Yes, you can. Hey Donna, thanks for hopping in. You can use them as long as they are the regular water-based inks from Stampin' Up. They work perfectly with the Stampin' Blends markers. The ones you do not want to use are your basic gray and basic black, because those are alcohol-based inks, and the alcohol markers will reactivate the alcohol in your stamped image, and then you get a big old fuzzy blurry mess. So you definitely don't want to use them with those two inks, but all the regular ink pads are just fine. I'm going to stamp the sentiment from the Lovely Wishes stamp set in Flirty Flamingo ink. And no precise placement, just sort of eyeballed it on here. I knew I wanted it down a little bit, that was all that I wanted. So, all right. So I think we're done with the banner. We'll go ahead and stick it on here with a little snail. This I went ahead and pre-embossed just because I figured y'all didn't need to sit and watch me do that. This is with the Layered Leaves embossing folder, the dynamic one. So it makes really pretty deep embossed images. So put that on a little Whisper White note card, or Whisper White note card, Whisper White cardstock. Just layered it together. Oh, I didn't mean to put it on the back of there. Good heavens. Oh well, I'm going to do this for now. What I was trying to do is the banner. Can you tell? Yeek. It's Friday. It's been a week, so trying to get that centered on here. All right. Then what I wanted to do before I start adhering anything down was to wrap the twine around it, tie my bow. See, even as semi-professional stampers make goofs once in a while. Well, I make a lot of them, so I can't say that it's only once in a while for me. All right, tying my twine, and as always, it always works so easily when I'm not on camera and when my hands aren't shaking. Try and get it somewhat straight. Tie my little bow here. There we go. I think that's all right. And I'll try to get it unstuck for my markers. And what I'm going to do before I stick it to some place that I don't want to stick it to is I'm going to go ahead and put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of here. That's what I was intending to use on it, not snail. But that's okay, because the Dimensionals will pop it up and then it won't stick to anything else. So, hey Chris, thanks for hopping in. And yep, it's awesome that they work with the colored inks too. So I was happy to find that it didn't cause any issue with it, because sometimes I don't necessarily want the image to be all black. So, all right, then I'm putting it on a thick Whisper White card base. All right, so that part's all done. So the basics of the card are there. Now I just need to get back to do the coloring part. And all right, the colors that I used on it were the light Pink Pirouette Stampin' Blends, the light Pool Party Stampin' Blends, the light and the dark Daffodil Stampin' Blends. So Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends. So those are the inks that I've used. And of course, I don't know if you can hear it, my phone is ringing. Nobody ever calls me. Why it is. Hey Vicki, thanks for hopping in. Why it is that it does it in the middle of a video, I don't know. Hopefully it won't cause too much trouble for her. All right. Yes, Chris, I did use Smoky Slate ink. So I changed it up a little bit. I'd used Pear Pizzazz on my original card. When I'm coloring this, the one nice thing about this image is that you don't really have to color it too terribly perfectly. You just want to make sure that no like stark white shows through. That was really my main thing when I was coloring it. Because I did not take a lot of time and didn't do a real neat job of coloring. As you can see here, I'm just sort of going over the lines. Sometimes it's even hard for me to tell which things are leaves and which things are petals. So I just sort of guessed and colored what I wanted to color on it. And I don't know how well you can see it on here, but there's no mixing of the two inks, which I love. Like I said, I love that I can do the stamping in one of the Stampin' Up! Inks and then color it with the blends. So I can stamp it in any color that I want to. So, all right. Sorry, stopping for a minute to check and make sure I'm not missing any comments. Get busy coloring and then I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. There's another little daisy image that's over here, and I wanted that one to be colored in the pink, light pink pirouette as well. I like this stamp because it basically does all the shading for me, so that's, you know, my lazy version of stamping, is letting the stamp do all the work, and then I don't have to do the shading myself. All right, so I think we pretty well, oh, I see a couple spots that are, all right, I think I pretty well got the pink done. Then there's a little flower that's back in here that I colored with the light Pool Party Stampin' Blends marker. And again, just sort of did a speedy quick coloring over it. And I love it because nobody can tell that it was speedy quick coloring by the time you get all done with it, because the image is so pretty and it covers up all the sloppiness of my coloring and my lack of coloring skills. So I think we pretty well got the Pool Party done. And then the last color that I used was the light and dark Daffodil Delight. I used the light on the center of the flowers. Did that on the center of the flower in here too. And then I did also use it on, I had no idea what kind of flowers these are. I know they're very common flowers, but somebody will probably pop on here and be able to tell me what color they are, but I have no idea. Or what flower they are, but I have no idea. So, did a little bit of coloring with the light Stampin' Blends on it. And then because I wanted the centers of this flower to show up just a little bit. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm changing your mind on the stamp set, Karen. It's a beautiful set. I'm looking forward to, actually, this is something that Stampin' Up! Said they're going to be making some more of these types of stamp sets, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with them. So, went back in with a little bit of the dark for the centers and then just blended it so that it wasn't quite such a harsh line. And that's all the coloring that I did on that image. Like I said, it was super, super simple, super lazy Amy coloring. So the next thing I did was cut it out with one of the Stitched Shapes frameless dies. I don't know why I cannot say that to save my life, especially when I'm on video. I'm afraid that one of these days is going to come out with not a word that I should say online. So hopefully it never does. But one of these days I know it's going to come out as a word I don't want to say. So for now, I'm just going to keep trying to say Stitched Shapes. Stitched Shapes. See, I almost said it again. So, all right, I'm going to cut this out with the circle. There we go. Got that all done, and I will get the big shot up and out of the way here. Try not to drop anything on the floor as I do it. All right, so we've got our image all done and cut out, and all we need to do now is put it on the card front. And of course, I use dimensionals because I use them for everything. And if you've ever received one of my cards, of course, you'll know that I can rarely ever send them with just one stamp. I think I like it like this. So there we go. That's the most of the card front. I need to add a couple of rhinestones. Do you think we'll see more of these stamps in April? I sure hope so, Robbie. So I have my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that Stampin' Up! Continues to make these because I think they're incredibly beautiful. So added a couple of rhinestones. And I keep shooting across the screen there. And that's it for the card front. So like I said, I mean, just a couple minutes of color and it's all done, and it's pretty, I think. I think that image is incredibly beautiful. So on the inside, I've already stamped this. I just stamped it again in Smoky Slate and on some Whisper White cardstock. Putting it down in the corner. And inside of the card is all done too. So, speedy quick. Other than me gluing it where I wasn't supposed to glue it. Not too many flubs today. So, hopefully. So here's the card we made today. Glad you guys are liking it. And then here's the one that I made and posted on my blog. So all the paper cuts and the sizes and everything are posted out on my blog. So don't need to worry about writing all that down or trying to worry about doing that. Just wanted to show you how I created it. And glad that you guys are liking it. So if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a couple seconds. But otherwise, go check out my blog, stampwithamyk.com. I'll also post a link to the actual card that I made and post it on my blog so that you'll be able to easily find it. I'll post the link here in the video as soon as I get it all done. Don't forget, celebration is going on right now. For every $50 that you purchase in Stampin' Up! Merchandise, you get to choose a free item. And again, this stamp set, which I used today, is one of the free items that you can get. And like I said, I feel like it's incredibly beautiful. And so if you're interested in joining the team, we'd love to have you. So there's a joining bonus going on right now too. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again for stopping in and spending part of your Friday with me. And have a great weekend. Talk to you all soon.